All right, what's going on, guys? Goofy Rexy here. Hope you guys are doing well today. So excited! I got my boy here with me, Mendawgs. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys don't know Mendawgs, he is the starter and the originator of the MSF Roundtable that we record on Friday nights. That you see videos on Monday. So I'm gonna leave a link to Mendawgs' Twitch as well as his YouTube channel. I appreciate you being here, brother. Hope everything is going well with you. We're gonna be talking about some Iso-8 today, but if you want to kind of just go through a quick introduction on yourself, just for the people, so that they know you are.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I'm Mendawgs from Down Under. I've been streaming for a couple of months, and we do the MSF Roundtable, and that's going to start becoming live as of this Friday. So I believe it's 12 Eastern Standard Time, but we'll do posts and stuff for that. So yeah, again, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. So I'm excited to have you. So obviously today we're going to be talking about Iso-8. We also got Scream that came out today too, but we're not going to really touch on Scream too much here. We just really want to go over Iso-8. It's kind of just like our quick, kind of first take reaction to it. How do we feel? Things like that. So since you're your guest, I guess I should say, I'll start off with you. What are your quick thoughts on Iso-8?
So I came from Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which is the equivalent of the Star Wars, Marvel Strike Force.
Yep.
And in that, we have these things called mods. And mods are RNG dependent. They have speed, and it really wrecks the game. And so I'm a real big fan of this. It's not RNG dependent. I understand that there is some RNG elements to get the higher end, the level 5s and stuff.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm very happy with it, and I do like how you can swap between classes at will.
Yeah, so I guess initially that was kind of part of my, kind of initial thoughts were that, okay, it wasn't very clear as to whether it was. They said it in writing, in the blog post that they were going to be that you were going to be able to kind of modify and switch between classes, so don't worry about leveling it up. And then of course we kind of heard from the community, guys like RemanX and Mobile Gamer just talking about, okay, well maybe you kind of want to wait a little bit before you kind of level things up because you won't necessarily be able to switch classes, as easily. So it seems as if though that is kind of both things are actually kind of sort of true in a sense, because you to a certain extent, right, you can switch, but you also do have to spend a certain amount of currency in order to be able to level things up. So you probably still in the very beginning want to focus on making sure or figuring out, what actual classes work with what specific characters before you kind of proceed and move forward with, upgrading someone past the level 1, kind of Iso-8 level, if you want to call it. Well, that's actually what we're going to call it. Level 1 is all the way up to level 5. So, you probably want to wait just a tad bit before you decide to just go all gung ho and upgrade in a class on a particular character.
I think wide's going to be the better option here, as opposed to having say 5 at level 5. I think having a lot at level 3 is going to be the better approach.
Yeah.
Kind of like mods, kind of like relics in Star Wars. And apologies if I keep referring back to Star Wars, but
that's fine.
I believe that's the reason they delayed it, was because originally it was meant to come out like mods, and people in the Envoys program didn't like it.
Yeah.
Big fan. The classes look really interesting. Yes, they cost to go up, but it's not as much as the actual ISO levels, which is good. So it's just that currency there, not the actual mod, which is really good. I also like having different energy, which again, same as Star Wars, so I can still farm my gear, my characters, and then this is its own currency, its own little part of the game.
Yeah, so I guess actually let's talk about that. So in terms of the energy, obviously this is completely new energy that you do actually get. They do give you, it looks as if though they give it the same refreshes too as well throughout the day, where you get your, for me, on Eastern Standard Time, it's you get an energy camp, or you get free energy at 12, at 6, and then at 9. So it's the same thing here. You also do get that same kind of energy, at the same times, depending on whatever time frame you're on. And I do like that they do separate it a bit so that you don't have to worry about your regular campaign energy, but you did have your ISO-8, campaign energy too as well. I do like that they'd have made that sort of distinction between the two different, sort of energy pieces here. What I don't like, though, I will say, is that in order for you to get more, you got to kind of core out in order for you to be able to get it. I wish that there was a different way for you to get that energy. That's just my only kind of gripe where it comes to that. But, I do like that they do have that. And, I think it's kind of a good thing. In regards to, we can actually switch and talk about the campaign here. So the campaign itself, right, it's not very hard to go through at all, is what I've realized so far.
I had Ultron, but I thought Global was relatively easy. And I think even for lower players talking on Discord, it's not too difficult for them, which is really good.
Yeah, and like I said, it's really easy. Like if you can come and look at the characters or the characters that you need to fight, right? It's not really very difficult to progress through it at all. If you have, probably a team of characters that are like maybe 15 to 20k each, you can probably get through the campaign, relatively easy. And I don't think chapter 2 is, I might not be able to, I actually didn't see it. I don't think chapter 2 is much difficult either. As a matter of fact, it's not. You're looking at this one might be a little hard because of CM and Scientist Supreme and Star-Lord, but typically the characters in these type of campaigns aren't necessarily very souped up and powered up anyways. And if a character is this low, it's not like they're gonna have all their abilities at 6664 where you gotta really worry about it too much. You're probably just gonna have to you might have to be a little smart depending on the power level of your characters, depending on where you are in the game. But the reality is too, though, is that you can't really get access to this until you're at level 55. So once you're at level 55, right, you should be able to go through these 2 chapters in the campaign rather easy.
I imagine, it's kind of like, how the mobile industry is going, but I imagine it's very expensive now, but they will bring in more chapters to make it easier to farm. So within a year's time, or maybe 2 years, whatever, be a lot quicker. I think their current calculations at the moment is it's like 80 days or something to go from a character road to max. So.
Yeah, so we'll actually switch in and I'll show you. So if you go through the tutorial, the very first character that they will kind of have you upgrade is Shield-Medic. So we can actually just jump right into kind of like the ISO-8 kind of look and feel of it. So the very first thing is that in order for you to be able to get to level 1, first and foremost, you got to fill all of these up right here in order for you to be able to get to level 1. And then once you do get to that level 1, you can kind of select whatever class that you want to. And we can talk about kind of like a tier list that talks about the different classes that you can use that you have available to you, based on what the character is, things like that. But obviously they've kind of broken it down, in regards to like whatever the character is, so controller, healer, or support, whatever. Once you fill these up, then you're able to then select the class. The class you gotta be kind of careful in regards to what you select. But kind of like what are your I guess what we should talk about is first, it takes 5 to kind of get to level 1, but then after that, how much does it take for you to then go to level 2, how to go to level 3, and you kind of have a little bit more of an idea on that, so I'll kind of let you take that part over.
No dramas. So with the top tier, obviously it takes 1 piece to get it. I do like that they're split up into brawler, support, protector, whatever the other ones are, controller, I think. So the next, to get to stage 2, it's 3 ISO pieces, and that's for each. And to get the full benefits, you need them all to be, say, level 2, 3, 4, 5. And then your class is obviously dependent on the overall score that you've got. So if you've got 3 2s and 2 3s, you'll only be able to get that class to that 2. To get to 3, it's 9, but these are cumulative. So it's not it's not 1 then plus 3 then plus 9. It's if you've got the 3, you've only got 6 more. The next stage is 27, and the final stage is 81. You got to remember that 81 for each 5. So
right.
It does take a while to get.
Yeah. So. No, not sorry, not to cut you off. So I was, listening to probably just Mobile a little bit earlier, and who mentioned that, like realistically, you're probably looking at just to be able to max a character out. It's going to take a while, for you to be able to max that character out, unless you decide that, okay, well, I'm just going to buy a bunch of offers, hope for good RNG, core the heck out, to be able to farm, these different pieces. It's going to take you a while in order for you to be able to do that. So just for anyone who is thinking, all right, I'm just going to go in today and I'm going to be able to get my character all the way up to level 5, within the next, couple days, that's not realistic, so don't do that. And then also, like, you really want to, once again, you probably want to wait for the community to figure out, okay, well, what are actually the best, kind of sort of classes for each specific character, which we do have a tier list that we can kind of go through and kind of talk about that just briefly. And obviously, like, these are subject to change. These are kind of just like initial thoughts on what the classes of these characters are. And we can kind of talk a little bit about, what each one of them do when we kind of come back to the screen here. So I actually do have that pulled up somewhere over here, not there, but I do have it, pulled up right over here, so I know you already have started to equip. You got what, Ebony Maw to level 1, and you have what, Symbiote Spider-Man, I think you said, was also at level 1.
Yeah. So for right or wrong, this is how I'm going to do it. I probably recommend it, is I am focusing towards my Ring team, my Raid team, as well as my Dark Dimension 3 team. They're my priority characters, so I can smash out Dark Dimension 3, smash out U7, and then obviously Arena Climb 2, which we're going to have an issue. But I did go off that recommendation, so my Ebony Maw is a healer, and my Symbiote Spider-Man is a raider.
And I guess we can talk about, like I said, I mean, this is kind of public. This is I can leave a link down in the description too as well, that kind of just shares, this information too, just for everyone. But this is kind of like this like recommended list, in terms of what, I think Black Bolt, we all thought initially was going to be a striker. We originally thought that, and we thought, of course, Ebony Maw and probably Emma Frost obviously were definitely going to be healers. The one that I'm curious about is a Symbiote Spider-Man being a raider, which kind of makes it's a little curious on that one, and I guess as to why that would probably work. And we can kind of just touch back here on that. We won't go too in detail, because obviously we're still trying to figure this out ourselves, in regards to like what's actually the best option. But Raider here, what is it? On crit, it applies vulnerable to a maximum of 3. And I think when we looked at this list, and obviously I'll pull it back up here, so that's what that says as vulnerable. When you look back at this list, it tells us that, okay, well, for raids, healer for raids, but then for Dark Dimension, very, very most likely being a raider. So do you kind of have an idea as to like why that would make sense, as opposed to, because I originally thought he should just be a healer. Why do you think we probably should go with a raider in that case? And once again, I'll give my opinion on that too, but I just kind of want to hear your thoughts first on it.
So it's important to look through so I've only got level 1 at the moment, which does imply the crit with the vulnerability, and the different classes that are affected by the different vulnerabilities.
Right.
For example, you do more damage with a striker. With a striker, you double tap
right.
with your basic. Your fortify, you're doing on the spawn, you're doing the barrier. So that doesn't actually necessarily get affected, but your team does do more damage. I don't necessarily agree with the healer for raids for Symbiote Spider-Man, for example. I'm just choosing this one because of especially what we've seen with Scream as well as Anti-Venom. I think that's going to be a waste, and I don't think you're going to have any issues with healing on that team, to be honest. I think that raid is going to be a big deal. But the good thing is you can swap. You can swap characters. Sorry, not characters. You can swap classes.
You're right.
I don't think it's that expensive. Well, it's not expensive level 1, so there's obviously a lot of good testing. I'm interested, and let me know what you think, but I'm interested to see, since they've implied this, do you think there's game modes coming that actually might require Symbiote Spider-Man needs Skirmisher, for example? This or something.
Yeah, so not just that, but then also potentially that they're probably going to be coming out with a few game modes where the AI might have Iso-8s. You know, that's another thing that I thought, you know, too as well. Like maybe that's another reason why you should really be careful in regards to what class you're upgrading a particular character. The healer, I don't necessarily specifically agree with either, just because, you know, I feel like you're probably going to get a better benefit out of him being, you know, a raider, just because of the ability, the crit, you know, if you upgrade it, you're gonna get increased health, like things like that. So I don't necessarily know if you want to make him the healer. I think Scream would be a better healer, but obviously there's a reason why they said that. So, you know, we'll kind of figure out and dive more into that. But yeah, I just to go back to your questioning, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that that's an option, but I also think that there's a possibility too that there might be some future nodes. I know that we're supposed to be getting some modifiers for Greek raids. I know that, you know, there's obviously going to be new chapters that are coming out in the Doom campaign. This is not me saying this is exactly what's going to happen, where I'm just thinking, okay, well, there's a possibility that, hey, that you might see the AI, you know, have some Iso-8s on them too as well. And, you know, to piggyback on what you said earlier too, I mean, I think there's definitely in terms of priority, you want to make sure that you're probably focusing on characters that you're actually using and not just try to build, because I've seen people say, okay, well, I'm going to build up some mid-level team to like a high-level team, you know, before to a mid to high-level team. I'm going to invest into them first just so I can get them higher, when the reality is you probably realistically want to wait until you actually have you want to put it on characters that you're actually using every single day in arena and in raids before you go ahead and do that. When there's a plethora of Iso-8s available, then sure, you can go build up those mid-level teams if you want to.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think following your raid, your Dark Dimension 3, if you haven't done it, and your arena, I don't think you can lose out, to be honest. Symbiote Spider-Man for me is a unique thing because I use him in raids, Dark Dimension 3, and arena, so he's a good value for me.
Yeah, same here. I use Symbiote Spider-Man every possible place that I can use him, you know, so 100% agree with that. So yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of a good initial kind of start. I'm curious to see where things are going to progress, you know, as they move forward. The availability for more Iso-8s, and kind of once again, just figuring out the right classes for each character, you know, even if it sounds like it might be a situation where the classes may change depending on the game modes that you're actually in. So listen, once again, Mendawgs, I appreciate it. I don't know if you have anything else to share that you wanted to talk about before we kind of wrap up.
No, I'm good, thanks. But thanks very much for having me on. It's always a pleasure to do some collab stuff with you, brother.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being here, man. And once again, guys, make sure that you catch Mendawgs. I'll make sure I put down a link down to his YouTube page, as well as his Twitch page too as well. Go check him out. Go hang out with him. Really cool dude, man. Really good dude for this community too as well. And as usual, guys, thank you guys for being here too as well. And as I always say, be blessed and be safe.